Hello, brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining my YouTube channel. Today, I will show you different bottles that we can use and what I use them for. I do a lot of canning, and I just wanted to show you which ones are proper for which ones. So this one, I do meatloaf in a jar. And as you can see, the difference between the two of them. One is wide mouth and one is not. I do have smaller jars like this. I use these for my beets, soups, stews, what have you. The smaller ones I use for beets as well. And I also use these for beets because these are ones I would give out to people because I'm very kind and I always give out my food. So this one we would need for meatloaf in a jar. As you can see, the lid is much bigger than these particular lids here. I have a whole bunch of these because I use these quite a bit. This one you can use for jams. You can use for apple butter. I do have an apple tree, so I have a lot of apple butter, and I put apples in a jar like this, and it tastes like apple pie. I also had a friend that gave me pears, so I did pears just like I did the apples, and it came out very beautiful. So today I just wanted to show you, this is the one that we need for the meatloaf in a jar. And the reason for that is that it comes out easily. The last time I did it in a smaller jar, my first time actually, I did it in a smaller jar, and I have to use a knife to cut it up, and it's like ground beef, and you gotta kind of fry it up with some, potatoes and carrots and stuff like that. And it does taste good, and you can make a gravy out of it. But if you actually just want to take it completely out of the jar, this is the one that you would need so you can actually cut it up. Anyhow, I'm going to show you how to sterilize these. So I'm going to sterilize these today because I'm doing a class because there's a lot of people that want to know how to do meatloaf in a jar. And with the way that the world is going today, we want to make sure that we're stocked up and that we have food for whatever crisis comes in front of us. So we're going to do the sterilization of this one, and at some other point I will show you how I make my beets. Okay, so for the meatloaf in a jar, I got all my jars, and I'm going to show you how I sterilize them. So we just take all the lids off because I don't put the lids in right away with the actual jars. So if you're, like I say, I'm going to be doing a class on meatloaf in a jar, and because I'm doing this before I go, and I'm sending this video for the 5 people that I'm teaching this to be able to do this before we actually go, because it's very important to sterilize your jars because, I mean, they're in a factory and there's so many different hands are touching them. You don't know if they're sterilized or not, so we want to make sure that they are properly sterilized because we're putting food in them. And we don't want to get sick from our food, so we got to make sure that we do them properly. I also keep the box only for storage later to put on my shelves. I just find it's easier to store. In regards to bringing these to the class, this is a good way to bring them as well instead of putting them in a bag. So make sure you hold on to your box. They do come in handy. So I have the water in the pot. So we're going to actually insert the jars in before we boil it, because you don't want to have cold going on to heat. It will break the glass, or heat going on to cold because it will break the glass. So we have to make sure that we put everything in there. So I'm just going to put the jars in first, and hopefully I have enough water into it, and if not, that's okay. I will definitely. So right now this is lukewarm water, so the glass won't break for the lukewarm water. Hopefully it's not too wiggly for you. So I'll probably get about, well, I might be able to get them all in there because my pot is big enough. This is the pot I use for a jig's dinner, which I will do a video on that one day. So I'm just going to finish putting this on, and then I'm going to turn the burner on and let it boil, and then from boil, let it at least boil for about 10 to 15 minutes. And do not put your lids in right away. What I do is I take all the jars out, make sure that the water is not hot, cool it down before you take the jars out, because you don't want to burn yourself. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. The jars I put in after I turn the burner, not the jars, sorry, the lids I turn, the lids I put in after I turn the burner off and let them sit in the actual hot water for 10 minutes. Okay, I managed to fit all of my jars in the one pot. I have the fan on now because the apartment that I'm in, it makes the smoke alarm go off, so, you know, let's not bother the neighbors. So the fan is on, and we just got to wait for this to boil and then leave for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we can take our jars out very carefully, or you can actually let them hold down, and you can actually do another pot for your lids. Maybe I'll do that for you, do another pot for your lids, so you can see how I do that. Okay, it's pretty much done, so I'm going to remove the pot from the stove and get it over there in the sink, and then I'm going to show you how to take them out and when to put in the lids. Okay, so this part you want to make sure you're very careful because it's very hot. So I have these tongs, and that's how I'm going to take it out. Make sure they're the long ones so you don't burn yourself. So the reason why I'm doing it like this, let me see if I can put this down for you. Right, so take it out like that, and you put it on your towel. So you lift it up. Be very careful because there's water inside the jar. You can't see the jars as of yet. You will in a moment. So I just put them on here. Just be very careful. Get them all out, and once you get them all out, you will put the lids in. They're nice and hot. So what you want to do is you want to get another towel. So it's on one towel at the bottom, but you want to cover it up with another towel so nothing gets inside of them. And let them sit for about 24 hours. I'm going to now, because the water's still hot, put the lids in. And then I'm going to leave the lids in for 10 minutes and put them underneath here as well. And let them sit for 24 hours, and then they're good to use. And then I'll show you how to store them. So that's pretty much how you sterilize. You can also sterilize in the oven. I don't particularly like to do it that way. I like to do it this way. I'm always used to my pot. I've been doing this a long time. I know I did say that I was going to put the lids in a separate pot. However, you can do it that way and then bring them to a boil for about 10 minutes. Actually 5 minutes, or even after. I do it after the water is boiled and then put them in. And the reason why I do the jars different like that is because, you know, the jars could break if you put hot to cold, cold to hot. So the lids, you could do the boiling first, leave them in for 10 minutes and take them out. Don't leave them any longer because it does have rubber on it and you don't want it to ruin your actual lids. So that's pretty much how you sterilize. And another thing, I wanted to let you know that once the 24 hours is up and these are pretty much dry, everything is dry, you can enter them back into this bin if you're not using them right away. But however, when you sterilize, use them right away or shortly after. I am doing meatloaf in a jar in about 3 to 4 days. And I will definitely, that's for the class, so I will definitely put them in this so I can carry them. Because as you can see, my kitchen is very small. I can't fit 5 or 6 people in here. So I have it located at a friend's place. She's very kind enough to allow me to teach everybody how to do this. So that will be fun. I will definitely put that on the video as well. So put them all in the case when you're done, and then you're able to carry them. Otherwise, use them right away.